Good morning, everybody. For those of you who join us or watch us later, good afternoon, good evening, good middle of the night. I am really excited to be joined today by Dan from Mindjam. Some of you may have heard about Mindjam, others won't. I think that what he has to say is going to be really interesting. And I'm going to start by saying, hi, Dan. And do you want to tell us who you are and what Mindjam is?
Hi there. Yeah, thanks for having me on. So I'm Dan and I run Mindjam. But Mindjam is basically emotional support through gaming and game design. So it was something I set up a couple of years ago, started running it as a part-time basis, but now it's full-blown business. And we support children, all sorts with special education needs or with anxiety problems, with all sorts of issues who maybe were struggling to get into school or are home educated. And we support them through all sides of game design. So to tell you a bit about the sort of history, I've been a teacher for 20 years and I started off on ICT and music, but I've got two autistic children myself, but one with PDA as well. So I understand a lot of the issues a whole family can have about the education system, health services, everything that doesn't quite fit for what your child needs. And so I started working more one-to-one with special education needs children in schools. And what I found was the thing that always connected us was gaming, was talking about games. I'm a big lover of gaming, of course. So it was always an icebreaker, something that they got on your way, you know, they understand you, what you talk about, and you see the eyes light up. And it ended up, the sessions were less about what we were supposed to be learning and more about talking about life. And it ended up, you know, in a counselling sort of setting. Anyway, long story short, a few years ago, a lad I was teaching, he stopped school all of a sudden. And his mum got in touch about 6 months later and said, you know, that he's severely anxious, curtains shut, won't let anyone see him, won't leave his room, will only talk to her, but had asked whether he could talk with me about some games. So she was obviously dead excited, and I was like, yeah, okay, let's try this out. And then as soon as we started, it was like a light bulb, especially knowing what my daughter is like as well. And it was just like, of course, you come into their safe place there where they feel super comfortable and more confident than they would be if they were sat somewhere away from home or downstairs with someone talking to them, that you just create this bond where then you can talk about things. But we don't, you know, and
you're also not there physically with them, are you? You haven't even intruded into that safe space.
So all sessions are online in a place that's comfortable for the child. So we, you know, generally it tends to, I see a pattern in age really. If they're between 7 and 12, then video call, brilliant. We're on, hello, how are you doing? After about 13, it's like no video to that, but that's fine. You know, as long as they feel comfortable. I've even got some selective mutes who started off just typing their responses. I prefer to chat still, but they were typing responses. And it just built from there. But it's lovely because you get to a stage where I had one child who's then, so, you know, after it was about 2 months of sessions, just suddenly turned his camera on. And it was like, oh, there you are, hello, you know. And it's just like, you know, and it's like that growth, which is lovely to see. But like I say, there's no pressure. I completely understand that these child have got too many demands and feel out of control and lost, and so it keeps them in control. They choose the games we're playing on, you know, and if we want to look at anything further, it's all on their time and their decision. So the other side of it, what we are is mentors. So we can do the therapy side of things, but we do it not presenting as a therapist, not coming in going, tell me about yourself and all that. It's all through, let's play a game. Oh, what we're on Minecraft, okay. And then once the bond's formed, you can talk about, you know, school and things, but do it in a very sort of casual way, and then, you know, non-threatening. They can talk about it if they want to, but then also we can do the teaching side as well, but we don't present as teachers. So we don't turn up and go, right, we're learning coding, we're doing this, here we go on Python. It's again all in finding their interest and skills. So if they love want to be a YouTuber, then we'll look at video editing and that side of things. If they love digital art, then we can look, you know, chat about that, show art, and then look maybe into animation or look into designing characters for games, that side of thing. We can go down the full game design route as well. there's a wonderful pathway that always seems to happen where you get a child that's either massively into Minecraft or Roblox, and both of them lead lovely into game design. And Minecraft is on a PC is fab because there's Java version, which we've got loads of coding in the background of that. And they'll probably be watching YouTubers where they want to do certain mods and things, which is, you know, coming in the back door of Minecraft in a way and changing things around, which is great, and setting up servers, creating things on like their favorite places like Hypixel. Whereas Roblox is, again, a very misunderstood platform. It is fantastic. It's very fast, changing from game to game, kind of like a Netflix of games. But behind all that, there's another thing called Roblox Studio, which really introduces game design. It's fab. You build a game in Roblox and it's instantly playable and instantly shareable to your friends or to anybody. And that is awesome to look at. And but only if the child likes Roblox. If they hate Roblox, which some hate Roblox, we avoid that, you know. But then what it all leads on to is a platform called Unity, which is where a lot of famous games are made, Subnautica, Cuphead, or all sorts of lovely mobile games, VR games. And we help them through, if they're interested, of course, this thing called Junior Programmer, which is, you know, a full course run by Unity. And by the end, you're Unity certified junior programmer, which can lead to jobs or further education. And it's fab. If you do it on your own, it can get a bit boring. You can get distracted. There's a lot of you know, lectures and videos and to watch and things like that. Whereas if we do it in a more collaborative way, kind of and just fun, and we can go off on a tangent building our own games, but it's a lot of practical building your own games. So that's a side we can look at, but it's not the be all end all of Mind. As I was saying, Mindjam is a very broad thing. So if every week we're gaming in Fortnite and just trying to get really good at that, then that's cool. You know, it can cover all bases.
I think there's a couple of things that strike me as, first of all, your passion and your enthusiasm, which just shine out. And so at Family Voice, just to clarify, because often we're sometimes quite misunderstood about what we do. So what we are here to do is collective representation, and our remit is vast. So we're here to represent parents who've got a child with additional needs, aged 0 to 25, regardless of the type or severity of need. So it could be, you know, an autistic child, it could be a child with dyslexia, it could be a child with profound multiple learning disabilities. And obviously today we're talking about, I think, a cohort of children who the breadth can be really large, but we know, for example, at Family Voice, one of the things that we have is a group that meets monthly that was really in response to parents' need. And these are all parents whose children are suffering from really severe anxiety around school. So there's anxiety everywhere, but that school is they have such huge barriers to attending school. And so we're talking often about children who are on the autistic spectrum, even if they haven't been diagnosed. You mentioned PDA. I'll just mention for anybody who's watching that stands for pathological demand avoidance. And it's something that in the last couple of years has been more in the language, in the culture, hasn't it? And these children who often are seen as really naughty and disobedient. And actually, the reality is when you ask them to do something, they immediately go into a panic response. And what I find really interesting is, in speaking to you and a couple of other really small people who approach education in its broadest sense in a very different way, is you don't appear to have any difficulty with these children.
No, because they're in control, and that's the whole thing. And I've seen it firsthand with my son. And I think what happens is, because in the education sector especially, there's not a lot of training in PDA, and so they do what they think is right for an autistic person, but the structure, the sort of regimental telling them what to do, where to do it, does not work for demand avoidance. And so they present as being naughty, as being uncooperative, but really they physically can't. You know,
and their anxiety just increases and increases, doesn't it?
So, you know, so it's really interesting. I've got one, you know, we have quite a lot of PDA on our books, but I've got one child who's probably most severest I've seen. He's very severe, and yet we have got all through just collaborative, me being there for him, helping him when he's got problems, but it's all on what he's doing. We started looking at Unity, and we start, you know, and he's typing where he thinks he can't read, you know, he can't read or write, and he's typing things out, and he's, you know, and he's actually following my instructions, but it's because he wants to, you know. And I think, like say, the gaming world, I always find gaming seems to be the wrong word for it, because it's pure entertainment, but also there's so much more in there. There's so much learning in games. There's so much, you know, it can help, you know, you get games that can help ease anxiety. Minecraft is a great one because it's so chilled, it's so relaxed. There's some lovely games. I was just on my Facebook page, I was saying about, there's this game called Unpacking. My daughter's been severely anxious the last couple of weeks, really dark thoughts that have been scaring her. And so she's just been playing this game called Unpacking, and all you do is you basically got boxes and you're moving into a house, and you've got to place everything in the right place. You've got lovely soothing music, and she just found it lovely. It really just helped her. You know, games cover all bases, and then you sorry. And
so
then
my head's gone off at a tangent, and this is, you know, where my professional hat and personal hat blur. So I'm a musician by background, and you mentioned that you taught music and IT earlier, and one of the things that, so I have a son who is a gamer. I have always struggled with gaming. I don't get on with it, but and one of the things that I did when he was little was I thought I can either go into his world, or I can help him realize that it's possible to have a relationship with someone who doesn't share all of your interests. And that's the way, I mean, apart from the other pressures of life, that's what I did. And it took a long, long time for him to realize that just because I didn't love gaming didn't mean I didn't love him.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. But one of the things that I've been really struck by when I watch him is the sophistication of that, and, you know, the actors, and obviously the graphic thing, but actually the music is really interesting. And I wondered, do you ever explore the music side of things with the children that you're with?
Yeah, so we've got quite a few who obviously do it more in a digital way, but there's a lot that already are learning instruments or anything. But we can, you know, when we're building a game, we can think about the music soundtrack and things like that. Or we look into Cubase, which is a digital music making platform, Pro Tools, all that, because it's all digital. That's what I mean by we can look at any side of it. And what we do is, because every mentor we have now, I'll tell you about all our mentors in a minute, but we're all so technically savvy that even if we don't know too much about a program that maybe the child wants to look at, it doesn't take us long to sort of pick it up. And because we're doing it in the collaborative way, it presents better to the child anyway, that we're learning it together. Like, how do we do that? Oh yeah, there we go. Going back to the gaming there, one thing is that a lot of these children feel like they're failing, feel like they're lost, feel like failing. Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? I'm rubbish. I just game. That's all I do. And helping them recognize that the skills they have in gaming are real skills. The speed, you know, a game like Fortnite, it gets a lot of bad rep, but the speed in which these kids can play it, and they're just like building and doing all this, it's incredible. So to come in and go like, what you're doing is amazing. That is incredible, you know, and do that because their mates won't say that. The mates will be like, oh, you know what I mean? And it's so to have someone actually that's a professional, that's not mum and dad, going in and going, oh, what you've made in Minecraft, that's absolutely amazing, you know, and just come around that.
You know, it's really interesting you say that, because as I say, I'm a pretty traditional mum in a lot of ways. The whole gaming thing escapes me largely, and I've had this one child in particular who really struggled with school. He was in a residential school for a while, but he didn't attend class. And then I used to watch him in Minecraft, and he learned electronics in Minecraft. It was, I was watching him build these things thinking, oh my God, how does he know all of this? And then the other thing was he discovered, I think it was a mod, who knows, but he discovered that you can have a little computer in Minecraft that you can learn programming on. And so he learned, that's how he initially learned programming, within that game. And then as he grew a little bit older, one of his favorite games as a kind of mid-teen was Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
Which is, I mean, from a mother's perspective, it's horrifying. He's just going around shooting people. But the way that it's done, the amount of history and geography that he learned was astonishing. And I have to say, you know, he's older, he's 21 now, but I kind of look and think how he's basically never attended school. And yet, apart from the fact that he can't leave house, but that's something else we're working on. But actually in so many ways, he's a very rounded individual with the breadth of skills that he has is amazing.
It is, and it hones into your, your favorite games are going to be based on your favorite things. So, like say, Assassin's Creed is amazing, and yeah, the actual game is an 18, and some people, can't let their children do that, and I completely understand that. But what Ubisoft are doing, who make Assassin's Creed now, they're bringing out a version of each one where the whole story's gone, and you're exploring. You're just a Viking, and the violence is gone, wow. or you're in the Egypt times, and so it's more of a history, walking around the world, doing the sort of traditional thing. Obviously, Viking. I don't think you'll be pillaging towns in it, but I think their hope is that schools might embrace that. But unfortunately, It's got this Assassin's Creed tag, so I'm not sure they will. But there's all this sort of side of it that you can just learn anything. I've got children. Their knowledge is, they think they're stupid. And then he's playing this game called War Thunder, which is all about planes and tanks from World Wars. And he knows everything about every plane, every tank. He can tell me what details, when they were made, how, where the weaknesses are, what battle they were used in. And it's just like, and then like say in Minecraft where you can build electric circuits. I had a child using a game called Powder Toy, where it's kind of like a sandbox where you've got elements. He built a nuclear reactor. And it working, and he was experimenting with how to get that so it didn't leak and destroy the whole world. It's just, it's amazing.
So, in terms of, one of the things that we try and do here on these things is allow parents to a little glimpse into what might be available to help their children, and also, one of my hopes is that when I meet people like you, I think I want to make sure that you are better known everywhere as well, because it feels really important to celebrate these successful and different ways of approaching our children. So you work remotely, and presumably that means that you are not necessarily based in Surrey. And I just wondered kind of where you're based, how you do it, and how many children you've got on your books. And then maybe we could talk about how parents, is this something that parents are going to come to you, and do they need to fund it themselves, or are you able to work with local authorities in certain? That's basically my questions.
Right. So when I started this, I started properly in the pandemic, when I was like, right, I'm stopping teaching, I'm going to get into this, let's go. And my timetable got pretty jam-packed fairly quick. And we're a long-term thing. So we're not like 6 weeks, you'll be fine, see you later. It's as long as a child or young person needs us. So what I found was nobody really drops off, which is wonderful. But of course, it started building this waiting list, and it got bigger, bigger, bigger. So what I got to stage now, or I've split into, we have 5 mentors now, and I will keep growing this as much as we need it. So the capacity will grow as the need grows, if you know what I mean. So, but yeah, obviously it's taken me a long time to get the right mentors, because they have to be, I've worked in either teaching or counselling or in a care way with special education needs, have great knowledge and great training in all that side of it, but then also have this young loving kind of love of gaming, and love of all things tech. And so yeah, we've got a wonderful team, fantastic people. They're on our website. I've actually got another 4 mentors starting this month to cope with the waiting list. We're dealing with people in America, in New Zealand. It's becoming quite a big thing, I think, because it works, and there's nothing, as far as I can tell, there's nothing quite like it yet. I hope Mindjam can be part of it, but I hope schools start embracing bringing this in. If a child had a room that he could go to that had decent computers with decent software that they could actually use, and the computers worked, it'd be great. I mean, I was horrified when I looked around my daughter's secondary school. I was like, right, it must have changed a lot. And then you look around, you're like, it's basically as when I went. They might be wheeling out a Atari on something. So basically, our capacity grows with the need, but obviously it might take time. So we do have a waiting list. But we can, parents contact us. You can go. Will there be a link on this? Because
there will, yes. So I will send this off to my. Well, we'll put your website in the comments, but I'll also get my tech savvy kid to put a card and stuff. He does the thing. I don't know.
Brilliant. So there's a website where you can fill in a form to contact us, and also Facebook. We'll get a lot of got a good page on Facebook, Mindjam Dan. It is so
Lovely.
set up, and we do a lot of other stuff like that. Funding wise, we can obviously get quite a lot funded by the parents themselves, so they need that, got that need, but also we can be funded through EOTAS, EHCPs, personal budgets, adoption
So if I can,
society, or everything,
yeah.
you know.
So EOTAS, for those of you who don't know, is education other than at school, and it's one of the ways that a child with additional needs, usually, if not always, with an educational health and care plan or an EHCP, can get funding. It's can be really challenging because the local authority on the whole will need to show that there is no school that can meet the child's needs. But I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
And a personal budget is a little bit similar. In Surrey, they don't seem to be being used very much at all anymore. We had a few families a few years ago who were on personal budgets for education, but very, very few. However, when you go through an educational health and care plan, you should be asked, do you need or want to discuss personal budget? And potentially, I imagine that one of the things that you could talk about there is actually there's a need for emotional therapy of something, and we would like a personal budget for Mindjam, for example.
Yeah, we get included. The more I've been going now, we're more accepted throughout the country. Dealt with a lot of people. We are talking with Surrey Council, especially through access to education. So fingers crossed we can, they are aware of us. So it makes it, but I still find it works best coming from the parent. So what I do is when the parent gets in touch, I've got a kind of information email for them to forward on to their point of contact, and then but it seems to be getting quicker and quicker. Obviously some places fight it, or they just think something else should be right, but eventually it seems to, how you have to be the warrior to get what you need, and it tends to.
And I think, it's true that local authorities get very nervous about something they don't know or understand, and about how that will be potentially seen. The fact that you're already working with some other councils, I think, should be parents' hope. And I think it's one of those things that, as a parent, if you feel that this is something that would really help your child, go to your caseworker and say, look, I know that this is the access to education, again, just to make sure that parents understand. If you have a child who's medically ill and can't get to school, access to education will provide some schooling. In Surrey, we have two branches. So we've got the medical side of A2E, it's called. And then you've got the side where, let's imagine that the council have said your child needs a specialist school, but we can't find one yet. So they would be putting this temporary access to education provision in place. It's limited. Certainly the families that we've been speaking to recently have been saying they get offered 1 hour a week with a tutor coming to their home. And that can be really challenging for some of the children you describe, can't it? Because someone coming into your house and saying, let's do some maths, just doesn't work very well. So the fact that you're talking to them fills me with a lot of optimism. And I would say, if you are one of those parents, take all of the details down from Dan here and go and speak to your caseworker.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's spread it. So sorry, I remember another question. So I'm based in Lincolnshire, and most of our mentors are, but of course we can be anyway because sessions are online, and we can help with anyway. So the main council, the first council that actually took me on was Essex, and they're fab. Every council's so different. Some are really forward thinking, or it tends to be one person in there actually, but others, a bit more standoffish. But we work with Nottinghamshire, Oxfordshire, Vale of Glamorgan, and so I think as soon as the other council sees that we work with these people, then it seems to be taken on a lot quicker, taken seriously. We also work with quite a lot of schools where if a child's their EHCPs connected to school but they can't get in for whatever reason, we are funded through that school as the main goal is obviously to help them integrate back to school, but that's not necessarily our main goal. That's the main goal we say to the school. But the main thing is make sure they're happy, because what we get a unique insight into the child, especially when their bond and trust is formed, and we can represent the voice of the child. So quite often we get involved in the teams around the family meeting, because as a parent, they don't necessarily, it doesn't always feel like they listen to you. I know firsthand of being a parent, whereas if you get someone else that comes in and says, no, you can't put him in a taxi and send him an hour away over there, that's not going to work, and someone else, to throw away the ridiculous suggestions. We can write reports as well, of course, and everything, you know, that needs to be dealt with that. It's all on a case-by-case basis, basically.
I'm particularly interested about the fact that we often make a real distinction, or the systems make a real distinction between education and emotional mental health stuff, and it seems that actually you're blurring those. I suppose one of the things I'm curious about is, particularly when you're working with a council, how do they, one of the big nervousnesses, my English, just brilliant, but one of the real anxieties of councils are that children should have access to the national curriculum. Yes. And I mean, you know, I know when we've got children that are a bit different, that feels a little bit redundant. And at the same time, as parents, we're also looking ahead and saying, well, but if they haven't done their maths, their history, their geography, their English, how are they going to move on? And I wondered, particularly when you are working with councils, how do you deal with that seeming contradiction?
Well, I think the main thing we're always seeing through councils, obviously we offer the education side, but it's not the formal GCSE stuff. So we're more seen as a way to help them back into wanting to do other, whether it's online sessions. If they get the confidence of dealing with us for online sessions, then and it's happened a lot actually, that they suddenly start others, and you know, and yeah, they might be more formal learning things, but they're like, okay, I want to get my maths, especially if we start talking about future careers and they're like, I want to be a programmer or something. Well, let's have a look. What do you need? Okay, well, we need to get your maths GCSE, and we just help encourage. And the council likes that, and we can give the the feedback on that as well. You know, and we help children through their computer science GCSEs, but we don't do them ourselves. You know, that's not what Mindjam does, if you know what I mean. But we're there with support and mentoring and guidance. You know, so through what they want to do. But we, you know, through the council, we can help. We have talks about what would work and where they can go next, and what might work, you know, whether it's online sessions or maybe they could get into the school a couple of days a week if we feel they could, and yeah, we've got lots of success stories from that as well. So
I was going to say, do you have some stories where you've been able to help children go back into a school setting successfully?
Yes, quite a lot really. Obviously not giving any names, but you know, I had a lovely lad I've been seeing for over a year, and he was severely anxious, and yeah, he's just started, but went in on Thursday for his first full day, and is back on Monday for a test. He's doing online courses. It's unbelievable. The change in him is fantastic. Obviously, and
the school have so one of the issues that parents talk to us about a lot when they have these children who really struggle with school is when they manage to get them back into school, the school wants that to go very quickly. And the pressures lead. So are you able to kind of broker that a little bit?
Exactly. So our reports will say, you know, we're talking about this is the reason why you can't get in, and this is, you know, what we could work on. And I work with quite a few schools where we've suggested what they could do. So I've got one child who comes back, but he has time allowed with his laptop, and he works on a Roblox game that he's working on, and it's something that I've fed through on the teacher what he should be looking at, and you know, and that works well. So just what they want to obviously get them back in, but we work at the way, you know, at the pace that the child needs, and also can say I don't think it's going to work. You know, we can be honest with them as well, and I don't think that it's right for them, you know, with that side of it at this moment in time, because I know they can be quite forceful. If you're tied with the school, it can be, you feel this pressure that you've got to get them back, and they're not ready. And the worst thing you can do is move the child too quickly. It will just cause more trauma, and you back worse than square one.
Exactly. Dan, it's been absolutely amazing. I'm aware that time is passing by, and it feels like we've covered a huge amount. I suppose that, so I know that I'm going to have parents going, oh my God, when can we start? And I wondered how many children you are supporting at the moment, to give an idea of kind of where you're sitting.
Yeah, we have about 100 children on our books at the moment, which and we have about another lot on our waiting list. But as I said, I've taken on 4 new mentors, and so that will relay that. So it's hard to obviously give a time of a waiting list. Some children we have for a few months, some children we have for a few years. So it's you know, all different for each child. But you know, I would like to think that whoever we get, we could get them on a sorry, brain's gone now. Get them having sessions within a few months. That would be my plan. Yeah, that would be my plan. Yeah.
Wonderful. And so really, it sounds as though, particularly for our Surrey parents, that if they're interested in what they've heard today, well, first of all, go and have a look at Dan's website and Facebook page, and then speak to your caseworker and get them.
Definitely. If you drop me, if you're interested and want me to send up the official info, drop me an email, and then I'll send the sort of official info. It's on our website anyway, but I think it's easier coming in an email for them to go, I want this, and then we'll hopefully get working with your caseworkers. Yeah.
Fantastic. Dan, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you. I know, I came, so just a little shameless plug because we're on Facebook, etc. But I think it's really important for our members to know that the reason we're having this conversation here is one of our members joined one of our, we have Zoom events for parents, and joined one with one of our coordinators, and was said to the coordinator, we've met this amazing person and you should do something with them. And hence this is, so we've had a couple of conversations leading up to this. So if any of you are, come across people like Dan, or have experiences where you've had a really positive outcome for your child, please let us know. Come to our events, let us know what's going on, the good and the bad, because that's what we do at the end of the day. We take that and we go to the big cheeses up in Surrey County Council and say, look, this is really good. And so one of the things that I have already been saying when we talk our work around particularly emotionally based, what's it called now, emotionally based school non-attendance, EBSNA in Surrey. And in those, your name and Mindjam has come up quite a lot, where we've been saying, can you just go and have a look and get this, amongst a few other providers. So it's one of the ways in which we can make sure that parents are heard and that our children get the support that they need at the end of the day.
Yeah, I do think it's important, not just for me, but if you can find any sort of support around that, because unfortunately schools aren't going to embrace this for a good few years, and it leaves our children missing out. I think I'm hoping to educate. I'm talking with schools and things, and they're hoping to educate that they have a something like Mindjam in every school. Should be there, some form of it. But that's years away, unfortunately. Well,
it sounds like you've done, I mean, the way that it's taken off just in the last year or two sounds absolutely astonishing.
Yeah, it's very exciting, but it's something very close to my heart, so I love it. So just if you've got any questions, just get in touch, anyone, and
great.
Look forward to hearing from you.
Fantastic.
But thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much.